One of the key use cases for enterprise users is the ability to generate code that meets the requirements and context of their existing code base. Enterprise developers are rarely going to be developing greenfield code, and instead will use a set of existing dependencies, libraries, and structures in order to make their project successful and adaptable to the company's environment. In this example, we are currently using the Material UI library, which is for developing front-end components. I've added it to my current workspace, and I've decided that I want to build an application that is able to utilize these existing dependencies and components for my UI. The application I'm tasked with building is a simple front end for an online storefront for software products. I can go ahead and ask Cascade to first analyze my existing libraries and then build a UI for the storefront that is based off of this. The important thing to note is Cascade is first going to perform multiple analysis steps on the Material UI library using LLM-based context retrieval, adding in these components into the context of the conversation. This allows these suggestions to be more attuned to my requirements. Then, when it actually begins developing the application itself, it's able to use the customizations that are provided in this library to build a UI that meets my organization's requirements. I have also added in rules that Cascade is able to reference in order to make sure that this project meets the needs and guidelines of my enterprise use case. These rules will be used throughout the trajectory of Cascade and help to guide the agent. Then, once this application is ready, we are able to see the value of such customizations in easing development along these axes. Another key ability for enterprises to customize their code bases is that they are able to come up with repeatable prompts and instructions that the agent can follow across the organization. In order to enable this for users, we have released a tool called Workflows. Workflows are a way for enterprises to be able to come up with repeated trajectories for the Cascade agent to follow that can be called with a simple / command. In this case, I have created a workflow called Run Material UI Application that can be called to be able to run the application itself. This is useful for users who will work with this project afterwards, but are not necessarily as familiar with the code itself. This workflow is added directly to the project's file tree and can thus be shared amongst users as part of the repository. As we can see, it contains installation prerequisites and actual step-by-step terminal commands that the agent can follow to load the user interface. We can then call this / command and actually have it run through the steps of starting the application. As we can see, this provides a way for enterprise teams to constrain and guide agent behavior for repeatable outcomes. The final part of code customization for enterprises is the ability to bring in context from an enterprise's own data sources, such as internal knowledge bases and beyond. The Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is a way for users to connect such resources to the agent in a standard format so that the underlying LLMs can interact with the necessary data. In order to enable this, Windsurf has provided an MCP store that allows users to select from pre-formatted templates or add their own servers. This is easily accessible from settings as well as the Cascade panel. As an example, I have added some best practices for building such an application to a Slack channel for developers to access, and I want to allow Cascade to be able to read these. As I have configured the Slack MCP server already, with the access to the following tools, I can ask Cascade to read the channel history for this channel and add the relevant best practices to a markdown file for other users to use. This seamless integration allows enterprises to ensure that their context is available to our product for greater accuracy and effectiveness of outputs.